All right, so on your test tomorrow, you're going to see factoring. You're going to see adding polynomials, subtracting polynomials, multiplying polynomials. You'll have a radical. You'll have simplifying, like fractions, exponents, that kind of thing. And you're also going to be given a polynomial and asked to see whether, or to put it in standard form, state the degree, the leading coefficient, and the constant. So one of those questions, that last one, is not on your review, which I put an extra one on here, so you should be okay with it. Your test is 12 questions. Keep that in mind. The first one from your review that we're going to look at is we're just evaluating the expression for the variable that's given. So for number 1, we have x squared plus 11x plus 24, where x is equal to -2. So if we plug in -2 anywhere we see the x, this is going to give us -2 squared plus 11 times -2 plus 24. That -2 squared gives us +4. The 11 times -2 is -22. And then we have that plus 24. From here, that 4 minus 22 you can do first, or if you wanted to do the -22 plus 24, it's just 24 minus 22, which is 2. So that's give us 4 plus 2, which is just 6. For number 2, we have 4x over x minus 1, where x is equal to 3. So again, anywhere we see that x, we're going to plug that 3 in. So that's going to give us 4 times 3 over 3 minus 1. The 4 times 3 gives us 12. 3 minus 1 is 2. That simplifies to 6. For number 3, we are simplifying 72x to the 4th power y to the 6th power over 54x to the 7th power y. Now, the 72 and the 54 do simplify because they are both divisible by 9. So 9 goes into 72 8 times. 9 goes into 54 6 times. The 8 and the 6 are both even numbers, so they continue to simplify. 8 turns into 4, 6 turns into 3. So that's going to give us 4 over 3. You then have x to the 4th over x to the 7th. Our rule when we are dividing powers is we subtract, two bases that are the same, we subtract their powers. So then we have 4 minus 7 in our power. Then you have y to the 6th over y. That y on the bottom has a power of 1, so we'll do 6 minus 1. This is going to give us 4 over 3 times x to the -3rd power, y to the 5th power. That power of -3 is going to take that x and bring it to the bottom of your fraction. That y to the 5th power is going to stay on the top of your fraction. So that's just going to give you 4 y to the 5th power over 3 x to the 3rd power. For number 4, you have -3 x to the 5th power y to the -2nd power, all raised to the -2nd power, times x to the 9th y to the 3rd. We're going to simplify within that first set of parentheses first. That -2 power is going to bring that y to the bottom of a fraction to give you -3 x to the 5th power over y to the 2nd power. From here, you are going to make that -2 power that's on that first set of parentheses a positive by flipping the fraction. So that's going to give you y squared over -3x to the 5th power, now raised to the positive 2nd power, times x to the 9th power, y to the 3rd power. Next, simplify the power of 2 on the first set of parentheses. That's going to go to both the numerator and the denominator. So it's going to be y squared to the 2nd power, so that's y to the 4th power, over -3 to the 2nd power, which is positive 9, x to the 5th power, raised to the 2nd power, which is x to the 10th power. This is still multiplied by that x to the 9th power, y to the 3rd power. When we do this, you have a y to the 4th times x to the 9th, y to the 3rd. We multiply the y's because they are the same base and add their powers. So this is going to give you x to the 9th power, y to the 7th power, over 9x to the 10th power. Your power on the x on the top is 9, on the bottom is 10. So you're subtracting those two. 9 minus 10 gives you a -1, so that 9 is going to come away from the 10, and the x is going to stay in the denominator. So it's just going to be y to the 7th power over 9x. For our next one, we have the cube root of 36 x to the 4th power y to the 8th power z. So with this one, you can separate this to be the cube root of 36, the cube root of x to the 4th, the cube root of y to the 8th, and the cube root of z if you wanted to. Or you can find the factors of 36, that are the prime factors, and then just write out all of your variables and group up your sets of 3. That's what I would do. So if we look at this one, that 36 is 6 times 6. 6 is 2 times 3. So this can be rewritten as the cube root of 2 times 2 times 3 times 3 times x 4 times y 8 times z. Now from here, since your index is 3, you want to group up 3 of the same term or 3 of the same numbers. You do not have 3 2s, so you cannot group those up. You do not have 3 3s, so you cannot group those up. You have 3 x's, so we'll group 3 of those up, pull 1 out. You have 3 y's, so again, group those up, pull 1 out. You have another set of 3 y's. So group those up, pull 1 out. You don't have anything else that matches up. So everything that's left over, the 2, the 3, the x, the y, and the z all have to multiply together and stay underneath that cube root. So that x times y is going to give you xy squared. Underneath that cube root, you're going to keep the 36. You have 1x, you have 2 y's, and 1 z. So that's xy squared times the cube root of 36 xy squared z. For number 6, you have the square root of 68 x to the 5th y to the 7th. That 68 is divisible by 4. We can do 4 and 17. The 4 is 2 and 2. So with this, we have the square root of 2 times 2 times 17. You have 5 x's. You have 7 y's. So we have the square root. It's understood that our index is 2. So we're going to group up sets of 2. We have 2 2's. We'll pull 1 of those out. We have 2 x's, we'll pull x out. Another set of x's, we'll pull an x out. We have 2 y's, we'll pull a y out. Another set of 2 y's, so we pull another y out. And another set of y's, so we pull another y out. Underneath, you're going to keep the 17, the x, and the y that are left over. So this, if we bring it all together, 2 times x times y times y times y is going to be 2x squared y cubed. The 17 times x times y is just the square root of 17xy. For numbers 7 and 8, we're rationalizing the denominator here. So with these, we're going to take the conjugate of the denominator and multiply by the top and the bottom of our fraction. For number 7, we have -3 over 2 minus the square root of 5. We're going to put parentheses around the 2 minus the square root of 5, and then make another with 2 plus the square root of 5. So keep the 2 terms, but change the sign in between them. Multiply the top by that as well. And then just distribute the -3 in and FOIL the bottom. So -3 times 2 gives us -6. -3 times the square root of 5 is -3 square root 5. In your denominator, the 2 times 2 is 4. 2 times the square root of 5 is 2 square root 5. 2 times the negative square root 5 is -2 square root 5. And negative square root 5 times negative square root 5 is negative square root 25. Up top, can't combine anything, so leave it negative 6 minus 3 square root 5. On the bottom, your two square root 5s are opposites, so they cancel. Simplify the square root of 25, which would be 5. So that gives you negative 6 minus 3 square root 5 all over negative 1. You never leave a negative in the denominator of your fraction, so change the sign on everything. That negative 1 turns to a positive, the 3 square root 5 turns to a positive, and the 6 turns to a positive. So this is just 6 plus 3 square root 5. For number 8, you have 4 over the square root of 2 plus 6. So we're going to put parentheses around the denominator and then find the conjugate of it, which is the square root of 2 minus 6. We're going to multiply the top and the bottom by that. So the 4 times the square root of 2 is 4 square root 2. 4 times negative 6 is negative 24. On the bottom, the square root of 2 times the square root of 2 is the square root of 4. Square root of 2 times negative 6 is negative 6 square root 2. 6 times the square root of 2 is positive 6 square root 2. And 6 times negative 6 is negative 36. So from here up top, it's going to stay the 4 square root 2 minus 24. On the bottom, those 6 square root 2's are opposites, so they cancel. The square root of 4 is 2 minus 36. The 2 minus 36 on the bottom is going to give you 4 square root 2 minus 24 over negative 34. All of these numbers are divisible by 2. The 4, the negative 24, and the negative 34. You also have a negative on the denominator, so turn it into a positive and change the sign on everything. So that 34 is going to divide by 2. That gives you 17. The negative 4 divides by 2. That gives you a negative 2. And then 24 divides by 2. That gives you 12. So that's negative 2 square root 2 plus 12 over 17. If we look at the next part, we're just performing the indicated operation and writing our answer in standard form. So for number 9, we have 8x squared plus 2y plus 3y minus 8. For this one, since there's addition between the two parentheses, we're going to just drop the parentheses and combine like terms. So we're going to have 8x squared plus 2y plus 3y minus 8. Your like terms here are the 2y and the 3y. So that 8x squared is just going to drop down. 2 plus 3 gives us 5. We keep the y attached to it, and we drop down that negative 8 to give us 8x squared plus 5y minus 8. For number 10, we have 2x cubed minus 5x squared plus 10x minus 7 plus 4x squared minus 7x minus 2. So this is going to be rewritten as 2x cubed minus 5x squared plus 10x minus 7 plus 4x squared minus 7x minus 2 with no parentheses. From here, combine like terms. That 2x cubed does not have another x cubed within that expression, so drop that down. Next, you have a negative 5x squared and a positive 4x squared, which gives us a negative x squared. Then we have that 10x and that negative 7x, which equal 3x. And lastly, the negative 7 and the negative 2, which gives us negative 9. This is in standard form, so we can just highlight it, and that's our answer. For 11, we are given 3x squared plus 2x minus 1 minus 5x. For this one, since there's a negative in front of that second set of parentheses, we are going to distribute it in and rewrite this as 3x squared plus 2x minus 1 plus 5x. And from here, we just combine like terms. So we're going to have that 3x squared that drops down. You then have 2x plus 5x, which is 7x minus 1. For 12, we have 6x to the 4th power minus 4x cubed minus x plus 3 minus 20x squared minus 16 plus 9x to the 4th power minus 11x squared. Distribute that negative into the second set of parentheses, rewrite this as 6x to the fourth power minus 4x cubed minus x plus 3 minus 20x squared minus 16 minus 9x to the fourth plus 11x squared. Remember, while you're doing this, you need to write your answer in standard form. So we're going to start with the 6x to the fourth and the negative 9x to the fourth, which gives us negative 3x to the fourth. Next, we have negative 4x cubed. That does not match with another x cubed, so we're going to drop it down. Then we have the negative 20x squared and the positive 11x squared, which gives us negative 9x squared. Next, we have negative x, which does not match with another x. So we're going to drop that down. Then we have the 3 and the negative 16, which gives us negative 13. This is in standard form, so we do not need to rewrite it. We just have negative 3x to the fourth power minus 4x cubed minus 9x squared minus x minus 13. For 13, you have x cubed times x squared plus 4. So this one we're just distributing that x cubed in. So remember, when we're working with two bases that are the same, we're adding their powers. So we're going to do x cubed times x squared, which gives us x to the fifth power, and then x cubed times 4, which is 4x cubed. They are not like terms, so you cannot combine them. For 14, you have x plus 4 times x plus 9. So we're going to FOIL this one out. We're going to do x times x, which is x squared. X times 9 is 9x. 4 times x is 4x. And 4 times 9 is 36. We combine like terms, and this leaves us with x squared plus 13x plus 36. For 15, we have x plus 2 cubed. So this is the same thing, if you don't know their formula, to do this as x plus 2 times x plus 2 times x plus 2. If you multiplied two of those x plus 2's together, it would leave you with x plus 2 times x squared plus 4x plus 4. From here, we multiply this out. So x times x squared is x cubed. X times 4x is 4x squared. X times 4 is 4x. 2 times x squared is 2x squared. 2 times 4x is 8x, and 2 times 4 is 8. From here, combine your like terms. You have x cubed, the 4x squared, and the 2x squared give us 6x squared. The 4x and the 8x give us 12, and then that 8 drops down to give you x cubed plus 6x squared plus 12x plus 8. For number 16, we have x minus 3 squared. So either you can use your formula or you can expand this and multiply it out. If you expand it and multiply it out, it's going to give you x minus 3 times x minus 3. So FOIL it. X times x is x squared. X times negative 3 is negative 3x. Negative 3 times x is negative 3x. And negative 3 times negative 3 is a positive 9. Combine your like terms, and that gives you x squared minus 6x plus 9. For 17, we're going to start factoring. For this one, we're given negative 6x to the fourth power minus 3x cubed plus 12x. Your greatest common factor with this one is going to be a negative, since your first term is negative in standard form, as well as a 3 and an x. So we're going to divide out a negative 3x. So this is going to leave us with negative 3x times 2x to the third power minus x squared plus 4. You cannot factor this any further, so that is your answer. For 18, you have x squared minus 64. Now this one is a binomial, so you want to ask yourself, is there a greatest common factor? If not, look at the two terms. Can you take the square root of both terms, and are they separated by subtraction? If the answer is yes to both of those last questions, you can take the square root of the x squared, you can take the square root of the 64, that's x and 8. That negative tells you that it's a difference of squares, so you're going to use a minus b times a plus b, or x minus 8 times x plus 8. Yeah, so that is a -4, not a +4 on the last one. So let's do this. There you go. If we look at your next one, you're given x squared plus 6x plus 9. This one's a trinomial. You do not have a greatest common factor. Your a is also 1. So ask yourself, what are the factors of 9 that add up to be positive 6? I will. So this is just factors to be x plus 3 times x plus 3. For your next one, you are given x cubed minus 27. Now this one you have a binomial also, however, you can take the cube root of both of those terms. So the cube root of x cubed is x, the cube root of the 27 is 3. So you're going to use x as a, b is going to be 3. You have a negative in between those two signs, so you're going to use a minus b times a squared plus ab plus b squared. From here, you're going to plug in the x for a, plug in the 3 for b. So that's going to give you x minus 3 times x squared plus x times 3 plus 3 squared. Simplify this, and that's just x minus 3 times x squared plus 3x plus 9. For 21, you're given 3x squared plus 14x plus 8. You don't have a greatest common factor on this one. There's 3 terms, and a is not 1. So you are going to multiply your a and your c term, so the 3 and the 8, which gives you 24. You're going to find the factors of 24 that add up to be 14. You have 2 and 12, which add to give you 14. So we're going to rewrite this trinomial as a polynomial of 3x squared plus 2x plus 12x plus 8. Now that you have 4 terms, you're going to factor by grouping. Group the first 2, group the last 2, factor out an x from the first, factor out a positive 4 from the second. This is going to leave you with x times 3x plus 2 plus 4 times 3x plus 2. Your 2 parentheses are the same from these two. So that's just going to be rewritten one more last time as 3x plus 2 times x plus 4. For 22, you have 2x squared minus x minus 15. So for this one, again, you don't have a greatest common factor, and your a is something other than 1. So we're going to multiply the 2 and the negative 15. That gives us negative 30. We're going to find the factors of negative 30 that add up to be negative 1 to replace that negative x with. So we would have 5 and negative 6. So this is just going to get rewritten as 2x squared plus 5x minus 6x minus 15. Group the first 2, group the last 2, pull out an x from the first, pull out a negative 3 from the second. This gives you x times 2x plus 5 minus 3 times 2x plus 5. 2 parentheses are the same, so that's 2x plus 5 times x minus 3. Your next one you have is 9x squared minus 12x plus 4. You do not have a greatest common factor with this one, so multiply your 9 and your 4. That gives you 36. You want the factors of 36 that add up to be negative 12. Since that 36 is positive and that 12 is negative, both of your factors are going to be negative. So you have 1 and 36, or negative 1, negative 36. Negative 2, negative, no. 2 goes into 3 one time with 1 left over, so that's 18. -3, -12, -4, -9, -6, and -6. The -6's give you the -12, so we're going to rewrite this as 9x squared minus 6x minus 6x plus 4. We can factor by grouping here. So we'll divide out a 3x from the first, a -2 from the second. So this is going to give us 3x times 3x minus 2, minus 2 times 3x minus 2. Your two parentheses are identical, so that gives you 3x minus 2 times 3x minus 2, which you can also just write as 3x minus 2 squared. Bless you. So if you see with this one, I found all of your factors from your a times c. It is a perfect, it is a perfect square trinomial, because the square root of the first term times the square root of the last term times -2 gives you that -12x. So if you could have realized that from the very beginning, you could have used that method as well instead of working this all out. If you work it all out, there's nothing wrong with it. So like I said, you can use both ways. For 24, you have 6x squared minus 27x minus 105. You have a greatest common factor on this one, which is 3. So we're going to divide out the 3, and that's going to give us 3 times 2x squared minus 9x minus 15. No, 35, sorry. Minus 35. From here, you need to check to see if you can factor this fully. The 2 times the -35 gives us -70. Check your factors of -70, that add up to be -9. You have 1 and 70, 2 and 35. 3 does not go into it evenly, 4 does not go into it evenly. 5 goes in 14 times. The 5 and the 14 will give you -9 if the 14 is negative and the 5 is positive. So this is going to get rewritten as 3 times 2x squared plus 5x minus 14x minus 35. Group the first two, group the last two, factor out an x from the first, factor out a -7 from the second. That's going to give you 3 times x times 2x plus 5 minus 7 times 2x plus 5. Your two parentheses are identical, so that gives you 3 times 2x plus 5 times x minus 7. You are definitely going to see one like this tomorrow, where you have to factor out the greatest common factor first, and then you have to factor when a is not 1. It's going to be the same exact way as this, just different numbers. Now, the only thing that's on your test that is not on your review is the question that gives you an expression asking you for the standard form, the degree, the leading coefficient, and the constant. Remember, in standard form, you are putting your terms in order from highest degree to lowest degree from left to right. So if you're given one like 25, where it's 4x minus 3 plus 7x to the 5th power minus 9x squared, highest degreed term is going to go down first, so it's going to be the 7x to the 5th power. Next would be the -9x squared, then the 4x, and then lastly, the -3. Your degree comes from the first term's power. If there's more than 2 terms, add the power, or more than 1 term, add the powers for the degree of that term. In this case, your first term in standard form is the 7x to the 5th power. The degree on that term is 5, so the degree of the entire polynomial is 5. Your leading coefficient also comes from the first term in standard form, so that's that 7x to the 5th power. It's just the coefficient part, which is the 7. The constant is the term that does not have a letter attached to it. So in this case, that -3 does not have an x attached to it, so that is your constant. If you don't have a constant, you can give 0 or none, either one of those. But you might get one tomorrow that does not have a constant, so you need to know, like I said, if it doesn't have one, it's either 0 or none that you can put down for constant.